How to write a nutrition program case study. In this video we will talk about Jeanette, and you can think about Jeanette either as a specific client that you have, or maybe as your ideal client, your target audience, when you maybe want to create a group coaching program or a video course. We will talk about the top 10 nutritional challenges that you will face when working with clients and 60 ways of overcoming these challenges. And in my videos, I help nutrition coaches feel prepared and confident when they are working with their clients. I share videos about motivational interviewing, how to organize your coaching, and also how to grow your coaching. If you like videos like this, make sure that you subscribe. So in this video, we will talk about Jeanette. Jeanette identifies as a woman. She is 34, is in a high pressure demanding position, and she wants to lose weight. And this video is a case study to a previous video that I shared. And here we will go through the specific steps that I shared, and you can see how to actually build a program for Jeanette. And if you want to see this other video, I added a link in the description. Let's first look at the overall coaching process. We are right now in the initial assessment part. So we talked with Jeanette, she agreed to be our client, and we just got her initial intake back. And now we are in the process of gathering data, understanding the data, and creating a plan. But the plan also continues over several sessions. And I've recently made a video on how to coach a check-in like this, how to go through a check-in and discuss with the client what has happened, what are our next steps. And I also have a video on these check-in forms, so you can keep track of your clients between sessions. So you actually gather data while you're not seeing your clients. If you're interested in that, make sure that you check out the description. So the first step in creating a plan is imagining being her. So there's an easy saying of, oh, put yourself into her shoes. But I want you to get to a next level. I want you to imagine how she stands, how she sits, how she walks. How are her shoulders, her neck? How does it feel? How does her face look? And I want you to go through her entire life, essentially. Imagine waking up as her, commuting to work, being in these high pressure positions, coming home, how does her pastime look like, her leisure time, and then how is her bedtime routine. And the idea is here not to be weird about it, but if you walk through a day, you can see through the eyes of a nutrition coach, where are the challenges? Is it in the morning? Is there maybe too much pressure, too less time? Is it maybe in the meetings where she's super stressed, she's jumping from meeting to meeting and is just exhausted at the end? Or is it something at home in the evening potentially that is not working well? This is the idea. Try to put yourself into her shoes and not just saying it, but really imagining how it is to stand in these high pressure meetings 6 hours a day. How does her neck feel? How does her body feel? How is her facial expression when she comes out of that job? And then every time you go through the next step, you will know, oh, does she commute? Does she not commute? How long is the commute? How many hours does she work? Is there a cafeteria? Where does she eat? This is then where the intake questionnaire comes in. The intake questionnaire then gives you all these specific examples. How does she feel about certain things? How does she eat? Where does she eat? How often does she eat in this way or another way? So try to put yourself as much as possible into her shoes, into her perspective, and then try to see the world through her eyes. And this is an important concept. There is this idea that we look at the world through a frame, through a window, and you try to imagine how Jeanette's frame looks like. We understand her goal is to eat better, she wants to lose weight. And now we look at the world through Jeanette's eyes imagining that is our goal, and then suddenly the things in our life appear either as tools, as obstacles, or as neutral things. And you probably might think, oh, he's wooey wooey. But imagine you're in your living room right now and you want to train. You're at home and you want to train in your living room. Suddenly, the desk, the table, is either an obstacle because you can't move around, or maybe it's a tool because you can do some push-ups on this. See, this is not just a table. It is an obstacle if I need space, or it's a tool if I need something to lean on. So when you go through Jeanette's life, I want you to look through her frame and see the things in her life as tools, obstacles, or neutral things. So let's talk about the top 10 nutritional challenges and how to overcome them. There are things like emotional eating, stress eating, lack of planning, cravings, snacking when you're not hungry, eating quickly, wine and alcohol, don't like cooking, and so on and so on and so on. And you can find this list in the description below. There's a link so you can download it for free. And I also added 40 additional ways of how to eat better consistently. So if you download this, you have 100 ways to help your client eat better and overcome their common nutrition challenges. So make sure that you check it out. And one quick additional thing. When you go through this exercise, when you go through Jeanette's life, when you look through her frame, see her world, how she feels, how she thinks, what she does, what issues she has, and you notice, oh, I don't know the information, and you don't find it in your intake questionnaire, make a quick note. Potentially, this is something that you want to add to your questionnaire as well, because in the future, this may be something that you need to know again and again and again. That's the key. That's the idea of an intake questionnaire. It allows you to see the world through the eyes of your client. And all these details are then in the intake questionnaire. That's why good questionnaires like the one from Precision Nutrition ask about sleep, ask about eating habits, ask about their mindsets, and so on, and so on, so on, and so on. So you go through this exercise, and whenever you notice, oh, I have no way of knowing, this might be a good opportunity to either reach out to Jeanette and ask her, or make a note that you need to update your intake because there are things that you don't know, but you need to know to progress with your assessment. So we have gone through her intake, we have gone through the exercise, and we identified some obstacles. Emotional stress eating is a big one. She has a lot of pressure on her, so it's easy to imagine, and she also talked about it in her questionnaire. So after 6 hours of intense meetings, there's just this craving and this need for relief with something sweet. There's also in her office always a bowl of sweets somewhere. So she's always going to a meeting. Oh, and there are some cookies and there are some snacks. Let's eat something. She has a high pressure job. There's a lack of planning. So she doesn't have a good, healthy meal with her when she goes to lunch. So she goes with her colleagues to some restaurant. Eating out frequently is an issue because that's part of her job. And cravings come into play with, oh, I didn't eat well during the day, I had a lot of stress, so let's eat something quickly, I need this now. So you can imagine going through her day that these things easily pop up, especially if you are aware that these are common issues. But there are a couple of things she has in her favor as well. There are a couple of strengths that you can also see from the conversation and from the intake questionnaire. She loves to play soccer or run in the evening. She loves snacks with carrots and hummus. So this is an opportunity. She lives by her calendar. She is an absolute time management ninja. And when something needs to get done, it gets done. So this is a huge benefit. Her calendar might be packed, But if she makes time and she knows how to make time, she will get it done. She don't mind ordering healthy options. That's another big plus. So when she goes out, she feels okay with, oh, I made a salad instead of steak and fries. And she knows how to focus. She knows how to get herself into a position mentally that she knows, oh, I'm doing this now. This is the way. I am consistent. I'm committed. Let's go, 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 go. These are huge strengths that play in her favor. And in the next couple of slides, we will explore how to use that. In the previous video, I laid out this mental map of how eating better consistently could progress from one step to another. For you, this map might look like a little different. You may reorder, you add something, you remove something. That's totally fine. But it's super helpful to have just one general map of how would you approach eating better consistently. Because now we can look at our map, we can look at the obstacles that Jeanette faces, and we can see how can we adjust the program to her needs. So let's do that. We can see emotional and stress eating is top priority, snacking when not hungry, lack of planning. You can also imagine these are tied together, especially with eating out frequently and cravings. So there's a mixture of different things that are somehow connected. And when we look at our mental map, okay, why and how are we eating? That already is a huge thing. So am I eating because my boss barked at me because I'm so stressed? Or am I really hungry? This conversation can be huge for her because then she knows, oh, I'm eating because I'm stressed. Maybe I can do something different. What and how much am I eating? This again plays into eating out frequently, cravings, and also maybe some snacking. So I have this thing, the sweet in my hand again. How much am I going to eat of that? Am I eating 15 or do I eat 1? What is it actually? Let's take a look at this sweet. What does it say? Is it actually really attractive? Is it interesting? Is it just pushing itself, or is it something nice and delicious and nutritious? Then improving food choices consistently. So that's where eating out frequently could come in. Okay, so instead of steak with fries, maybe we go with steak and salad, or maybe chicken breast and fries, or a combination of that. So suddenly we can see how these steps can inform our plan, and maybe there's something completely different. But you can also imagine how maybe stress resilience and stress management are the first things that we should tackle. Because you can also imagine if we are able to help her manage her stress, the emotional eating part and the craving part easily gets removed because she doesn't feel this urge anymore. And here again, we go to this idea with the frame and the tools, the obstacles, and the neutral things. So we have the goal of eat better consistently. And now we look through the lens of Jeanette at the world. And we notice, okay, stress is an issue. How could we address stress? For example, Jeanette goes for a run after work. She gets all the energy out, she does a couple of sprints, she's sweaty, but she smiles and knows, oh, and now I am relaxed and I can cook. Maybe, who knows, after a couple of steps, there's already a salad and some chicken breast ready for her, or something else. But you can see how this mental image of putting yourself into her shoes, and I mean almost literally, go into her position, see the world through her eyes, and then pick the tools and the strengths that could help her overcome some of these issues. Now, let's get specific. So what you need is a pen and paper And then you create an order of the challenges, biggest to smallest. And then you decide what is the easiest way of overcoming the biggest challenge. So for example, the biggest challenge is her stress. And the easiest solution for her is have something maybe even at work. She changes after work and goes for a run immediately after. So she already has all the energy out when she leaves the office. So create an order of the challenges, biggest to smallest, and then see what could be the easiest way to overcome the biggest challenge. And here's something that I want you to understand. You will feel stuck in this process because why she is eating and managing stress, exploring both of these are currently valuable ideas. Both are good options. So when you're not sure what to do, this is a sign that you need her input. Because you have to understand there's only 50% or even less perspective that you have. You have talked with her a little bit, you have an intake questionnaire, but you have no idea what is the easiest thing for her, what is the hardest things for her, what she is ready to do, what she is not ready to do. So what you can create is a list of options. But if you feel stuck and you don't know exactly what to do, that's normal. And maybe even Jeanette doesn't know. She has to experiment with these things as well. And maybe she does a step or two and suddenly something changes. She is all the time at work, or maybe she has to work from home and suddenly the whole program changes. So the idea is not to find this final, eternal program that works forever. The idea is at this step that you build a couple of options, get 1, 2, 3 ideas, and then plan them out. So if we start with managing stress, what is the first thing we are going to do? What's the second thing we're going to do? What's the third thing we're going to do? If she wants to address emotional eating directly, maybe that's our way. And then what's the first thing we are going to do? What's the second thing we're going to do? What's the third thing we are going to do? So you build options and then you have a little bit of a progression. So 2, 3, 4 steps. And that is all you can do right now. You can get an idea of the options and how to progress from this option. And then it's experimentation. And when you're working with one person, then you experiment directly. And if you work with a group, you may have to just start with one approach and then get feedback. Does it work? Does it not work with these clients? Maybe you have a couple of test clients going through this first before you build a course or a group coaching program. But I want you to understand that you won't be able to just think your way through every single step. You cannot decide if something is easy or difficult for Jeanette. That's why coaching is a conversation. You need her input. It is vitally important. And also, the idea is not to have this perfect start. It's the continued adaptation of the program to the things that always happen to Jeanette, to see what works, what doesn't work. So please remove this limiting belief that you have to plan an eternity of a program that will stay forever and the client is absolutely happy for it. You won't be able to do that because you don't have her input, and that is critical. It's essentially her journey. It is her journey. And without her input, you won't be able to find a program that works for her. Let's look at some of her challenges. Stress is a challenge, lack of planning is a challenge, cravings is a challenge, eating out regularly is a challenge. And what you see below these challenges, you see a couple of options, things you can do when this is an issue. And you can get the complete list of all 60 ways plus 40 additional ones when you go into the description and download the reference sheet. So Let's look at stress. She could go for a run. She loves running. She's very open to it. She already mentioned thinking about it, so that could be an option. De-stress after work. Running is one way of de-stressing. Maybe it's taking a shower, maybe going for a walk. Maybe it's just after work I lie on my couch and breathe for a couple of minutes. Maybe doing a little mind-body scan, maybe a meditation. Maybe she just turns on the TV and looks at a fireplace crackling around and just relax in front of that. So that's one way to address stress. Lack of planning. She is an absolute time management ninja. So one way of addressing lack of planning is, okay, make time. Make time for going for a walk, make time for your soccer practice, make time to make your meals. So we are already ahead at this. Plan ahead, make sure that there's not so much pressure in your calendar that you won't be able to eat, and then you come out of your job and you're just vanishing and you just grab the first thing that comes your way. Maybe you can even plan your meals, so when you go out with your colleagues, you already know in advance what you want to eat. Maybe you can bring some of the foods with you, or at least have them ready when you come home, so you don't just grab everything and eat already when you're cooking your food. Cravings. So what's the trigger? Is it this one meeting on Wednesday that you're worrying about for 3 days, and the next 3 days you're just exhausted because of it, and that's why you eat sweets all the time? Maybe addressing cravings is a way of just stay away from them. So a discomfort where we say, oh yeah, okay, I want to eat this sweet, but I choose to wait for 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, when I still want to eat this sweet, then I can do it. But I challenge myself to wait for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. That's how you can progress this. Another way is a 5-minute action or a 10-minute action. So when you ever feel a craving, do something else. Clean the kitchen, cook something, watch a funny video, maybe exercise a little bit, take a shower, read something. These are all ways to address cravings. Another way is, well, eat regularly. So if you don't have breakfast, you're working through the day, of course you're going to be hungry in the evening. So maybe we can add small things throughout the day so you're not vanishing and starving at the end of the day. Eat out regularly. What is a way to address that? Of course, plan ahead. Know what is there. Another thing is think on a continuum. Okay? So maybe this is one big birth and it's super important. Then you let go of your goals for that meal or for that day. And then the other days are a little bit more strict. You're a little tighter on this. Or maybe you choose, instead of ribeye steak, a chicken breast, or maybe some white fish. Maybe instead of fries, you take a potato. So this are all the ways of how you could address some of these obstacles. And now you make some options, you create some options and see what could be a progression. For example, to address the emotional eating, stress eating, we could start with going for a run, because that is super interesting for her. And then we see, okay, what really is triggering these cravings? Is it just one meeting? Is it the tension of the meetings? Is it too much pressure overall? Maybe it's just one person making a snarky remark and you want to stuff your face. And when you have found the trigger, then you can plan ahead. Oh, this thing comes up again, and oh, I know I will have cravings, so I am prepared. I have maybe a different choice ready. Or maybe I just know, okay, this is going to happen. I will address this thing as good as possible, and then move on. You can see, okay, this is a progression. But you can also totally see how we could create the option of, let's first find the trigger, then plan ahead. And additionally, let's de-stress after work with some reading. And then you can start to, oh, this is a good idea, this is how you could progress. This is a good idea, this is how you could progress it. This is a good idea, this is how you can progress it. And then you have a couple of options. And when you can then go into the conversation with her, you can present, hey, we could approach it like this, we could approach it like this, we could approach it like this. But I'm also curious, what do you think? How would you like to approach it? And then you have the discussion, you negotiate and see, oh, that's a good way of approaching it. And then you have the first couple of steps, and it's time to get your hand dirty. So that's another crucial idea, and I hope I make this as clear as possible. You won't be able to plan for a long time. If you have 3 consecutive steps, then you're already 6 weeks in advance. That's a lot, because so many things can change, and one change can trigger a lot of other changes. So it's not about creating this mystical internal program that will never change. Instead, you get the best start that you can get. You have a couple of ideas, she has a couple of ideas, you talk about it and you decide that is probably the best way to start. And then it's about action. She takes the first step, she takes the first practice and does it. She will go for a run for the next 2 weeks. And then you see what happens. Does it work? Or is she not able to? She thought she could run after work every single day, but then she's exhausted, she's sure, it rains, it doesn't work, it doesn't have the effect. Actually, she's more exhausted after that. Who knows? So I want to make this clear. You try your best to get a good first approach. You think about it, you not just randomly do something, but your approach will change over time. And the real value that you can bring as a coach is help how to adjust the program, to observe her reactions to the program, to observe how does her body react, how does she progress, how do you think about this, is it working, is it not working, and then adjust with every step to always see, oh, are we moving closer to our goals or are we not moving towards our goals? So even though I may sound like a broken record, understand this, please. There's not a way to plan it completely. When you're doing this for a single person, if you're doing this for a group, then you have to decide. But even then, you can do something like, oh, let's plan the first month and see the responses when the first group goes through the program, and then adjust the second month. And from there, adjust the third month, for example. Because then you already learn a lot about these things. Or you have a small group go through the program, and then you adjust it through after the first run through. So this adjustment process is the key. That is where the real coaching experience comes in, where the real value for the coach comes in. Because the more experience you have, the better you will be able to see, oh, noticing this probably could be a good idea. Precision Nutrition released last year a Nutrition, Fitness and Health Trends Insight report. And they noticed in their research that these are the top 10 challenges that coaches face. And I will add a link in the description to this report. And for every single of these challenges, I've added at least 5 steps that you can use to overcome these challenges. So let's go through them quickly. So we talked about emotional and stress eating, lack of planning, cravings, and snacking when not hungry already. So you know some of these steps. And I also want to let you know in the description below, in the download, I've added 40 additional ways that I don't show you on these slides on how to eat better consistently. Here are a couple of more ways to overcome these challenges. So when somebody eats quickly, This is common with women, but even more common with men. Take a breath. Add a minute. Try to slow down just a little bit. Remove all the distractions. Leave the phone out. Turn off the TV. With a sweet tooth, kitchen makeover, so change the environment. Another cool way is making it harder. So instead of having sweets at home, you have to either make them yourself or you have to go to a grocery store and buy them. And this grocery store has to be away at least 15 minutes. So if you want to eat something sweet, you have to travel at least 30 minutes. These are small ways of negotiating with a client. Oh, you can eat sweets, but let's make this a little bit harder. Large portions, especially when people have no time eating. When you eat slowly, it helps a lot to make the portion a little bit smaller because they feel full faster. You can use precision nutrition's hand portion system so people understand, oh, this is actually how a meal should look like. So wine and alcohol, this is about awareness. Is there actually too much? And then you can think of it in a continuum. So instead of having a bottle, maybe 2 glasses, then maybe half a glass. You can also identify, okay, what triggers alcohol consumption? Maybe it's something a stranger said and you don't think about it anymore. But in the evening think, yeah, maybe a glass of wine. When you don't like cooking, or when your client doesn't like cooking, think on a continuum. It doesn't have to be 100% prepared. Maybe it's just pre-cut salad, pre-cooked chicken, and you add a little dressing. That could be cooking already. You can make it fun and gamify it. Maybe they want to try something new. They've never cooked an egg, so let's find 10 different ways of cooking an egg. So they are actually excited and want to try something. And then there's always the option with meal delivery. So if you want this as a handy cheat sheet, plus an additional 40 ways of eating better consistently, make sure that you check out the description. Thank you so much for watching. I've added the previous video that we talked about. Here's the video on how to create these check-in forms and also how to have these check-in conversations. Thank you so much for watching.